everyone, and welcome to Pragati Vichar Literature Festival 2025. We are thrilled today to have this session in Pragati Vichar Literature Festival Junior 2025 on children's tales of resilience, nurturing young minds with empathy and resilience. Today, I have very big authors, if I may say, in my own words. Oh, everybody knows them. There is an introduction beyond the works which they both have been doing since a lot of years. So here I am with Miss. I'm sorry, ma'am. So sorry. Again, I would like to know the pronunciation. It's Polly, right?
Poile.
Poile. I don't want to miss uh,
Pronounce the
pronounce
word.
it. That's why I'm
It's
asking
it's
again
a.
and again.
Don't worry, it is a tough name. It's Poile, and it rhymes
I
with
am very
oily.
bad with names, ma'am. That is why I'm taking my
No,
time. I
don't.
want to
No
just, I will in
worries.
fact call Miss Sengupta to you. I don't want any confusion in between. Or I'll call you ma'am. That is much better for me. Okay. So I'll introduce you guys. Great. So I have Miss Sengupta here. She's the author of Higgedly Piggedly Growing Up. Her work actually is beyond 5 decades, and she has done all genre of writing. She's a playwright, poet, novelist, and short fiction writer, both for children and adults. The sheer volume of her work for children is mind-blogging. Nearly 2 dozen books and 2 dozen anthology entries. She has acted in the films The Outhouse and Shaitan. She was a member of the jury for the 2010 and 2012 Trinity Guildhall International Children's Playwriting Competitions, and for 5 years on the governing council of the National School Drama of New Delhi. We welcome you, ma'am, in Pragati Vichar Literature Festival Junior.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, the second panelist we have is Miss Tanya Gawdi. She's the author of Save the Solar System with Nai and Friends. She's a visual artist, entrepreneur, and a children's book author based in Paris. She's also a graduate of New York Film Academy in Los Angeles. Her work spans photography, graphic design, stop motion animation, and paper art. She's also the founder of Tina's Trinkets, a brand specializing in handmade artisanal products, and the author of Save the Solar System, inspired by her French bulldog Nai. She finds creativity in everyday simplicity, bringing her ideas to live in diverse forms. Welcome, Tanya, and thank you so much for participating in Pragati Vichar Literature Festival Junior 2025.
Thank you so much for having me.
We've looked today with both of you with lot of good conversation, especially on the children persona, because like nowadays it's more about technology and social media, and we hardly see lot of books, children having those books in their hands. So if we talk about both of your books, although vastly differently in settings, but they are grounded in the everyday world of young boy, and the other in adventurous cosmic journey seems to touch on themes of growth, understanding, and empathy. So if we say, ma'am, how do you believe the challenges your characters face, whether social or universal, and if they can help young readers cultivate empathy for both their immediate environment and the wider world in the technology era of today?
Well, the thing is that when one writes for young people, one has to understand and remember that they are very intelligent. This generation is vastly more intelligent than I think we were at that age.
I
So
agree.
I have to accept that. I'm sure Tanya does too.
Yes.
And therefore their concerns are wider, bigger, larger, and they're also more technology created. And so, it is a world that is very different from the world that we grew up in. But there are things that are the same. For instance, relationships in families and relationships with their classmates, their schoolwork, all of that remains the same. And your relationship with your teachers and what is learning about. Learning is the same, whether it's now or many decades ago. or in the future. Learning is an acceptance that you need more information and more knowledge for whatever is happening around you to get that connection between you and the rest of the world. So that's what I try and remember when I write for young people. But most of all, that young people are absorbent. Their brains absorb a lot of things that we don't really realize, and that they are extraordinarily intelligent young people.
Absolutely agree, ma'am. Nowadays, if you will look at the children, they if they want to read some specific book, they want lot of illustration, they want lot of colors. They are not into the books which doesn't have any imagery or something. They want imagination, they want more of fiction. So I totally agree with you what you are saying. So Tanya, what are your thoughts on this?
Yes, I also agree. Like Poile said that it's kids these days are very intelligent, and you need to really keep that in mind while writing a children's book today. But specifically for Nai's book, I would say that through Nai's adventures, kids will, coming back to your question of how how to cultivate empathy subtly in a book. um, I would say that the challenges that Nai faces are can be related to everyday challenges for kids. um, may it be like a big challenge like bringing the solar system back together. It seems like an impossible challenge, but Nai does it with her friends, with teamwork. So all these little themes are getting mirrored when you see Nai doing her challenges in the book. So I think that way it's like a subtle way for kids to see that working together and teamwork and friendship and empathy can make you achieve big goals. It kind of like reading, watching fake scenarios can kind of give kids the opportunity to realize that their actions have ripple effects depending on a story. Like for example, for Nai's story, her actions do have effects and her and consequences. So it's like a subtle fun way of making kids get into these kind of topics as well. So I would say, yeah, those are the challenges that I faced while making this book. How to incorporate these um, very important themes and serious themes in a fun way for kids to grasp.
So don't you feel like, Tanya, that you're talking about having empathy and the generation today actually going through that type of emotion, but don't you feel like that generation today do not feel or think beyond technology and social media and the games and the iPads and the their
I,
net, this
I
all
don't know. I
the
feel
gadgets? Empathy is way beyond their.
I, in fact, have the opposite opinion of that. I feel like this newer generation is much more empathetic than we were back then, just because they have so much information, ready information on their phones, on their hands. For example, like simple things like bullying in school and stuff like that, it's much more talked about now than even in my time, which was not that long ago, also. But even then, like, I feel like kids these days have much more knowledge of how others feel, and these topics that were not spoken about before, like bullying and how you make others feel and body shaming. A lot of these things, I feel like kids these days are much more knowledgeable about this. So I actually feel like knowing my nieces and nephews, looking at all of them, I feel like they are much more empathetic than kids in our time were. Like even to animals, like we were scared of animals, but kids these days
Agree.
are very open about having pets. And so I feel like empathy maybe is it's actually good to have so much information on your fingers, so it makes you more empathetic towards another person's story.
So, ma'am, any of your takeaway on the empathy emotion of kids' generation today?
Definitely. In fact, the operative word I think here is awareness. In Higgledy Piggledy 2, the protagonist, Neil, suddenly realizes that his uh, grandparents don't give as much importance to his mother as they do to his father, who's
Father.
their son. And he realizes that with a bit of a shock. And he also realizes that he has not had that kind of respect for his younger sister as he should have, because he keeps saying, oh, she's younger than me, so I know more than she does. But then he realizes and he acknowledges that she is a very much more observant person than he is, and there are a lot of things that she understands instinctively and with intelligence and with perception that he doesn't. So obviously, he is growing up almost every minute of his life. He's growing up just a little more. And also, the way the teachers treat them in school and what teachers
Has
expect
also
from
changed.
them and what they think of their achievements, all of that is in a very higgledy piggledy way he gets to know. And I agree with Tanya absolutely that awareness has grown with digital information. It's amazing how much the social media can help. Of course, we also look at the bad side of social media, I know, but Tanya is right in that social awareness has grown and people are talking about things like bullying, gender uh, inequity, and how people treat women and girls differently. All that awareness is growing. Even about growing up itself, young people are more aware of what it is that their hormones do to them in their teens.
Absolutely.
And yes, there is a lot of information on that, and there is a lot of help available. A lot of, especially after COVID, children's mental health has been affected,
Mhm.
and there is help, and they know there is help, and it can be tackled. So I think that's important because there's more optimism, I think, about
Mhm.
all these awarenesses than there used to be when we were children. Things were hushed up when we were growing up, and I am much, much older than both of you. And things were not supposed to be talked about. They
Mhm.
had to be kept secret, not even talked about in your own home. It's
Mhm.
different now. And
Yeah.
children are, aware
They
of
talk
that.
about their
And
emotions a lot around.
yes, yes, they can talk about their emotions without being laughed at or
Mhm.
being told, oh, you're being stupid. They realize, parents also are realizing that they have to talk to their children openly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, when you were talking about this, in Neil's story, humor and light-hearted situation coexist with heavier themes like communal hatred. While Tanya and Nai's story, adventure brings an element of playfulness to space exploration. So, how do you balance light-heartedness with more serious lessons in your stories to ensure young readers can learn valuable life lessons without feeling overwhelmed, ma'am?
Absolutely, it has to be done that way. Can you imagine being sermonized in a book of fiction? It's horrendous to think of that. In fact, the word here is fun. It has to be
Absolutely.
fun. It has to be fun, light-hearted, because that's how life is. We have both the sunshine and the darkness of the night and the fun of the daylight. We do have that in every day. And the fact that things happen, bad things perhaps, but they pass, and there are good days ahead, there are learnings ahead, and every learning is fun, is
Mhm.
through fun. It's not, broadside and you're hit on the nose and said, this is a value that you have to learn. No, it can't be done that way. You can't be preachy. You can't be moralistic. You have to make it happy and at an angle so that it's not coming straight on your face and splatters over your face. It can't be that way. And I'm sure Tanya will agree with me. And I'm
Absolutely.
sure that's how her book is.
Yes.
So, Tanya, what are your thoughts on this?
I absolutely 100% agree with her. Playfulness, I think, is the most essential things to keep the most essential thing to keep like young minds engaged. Um, yeah, it kind of makes kids more comfortable watching, looking at a scenario, reading about a scenario, uh, where they can kind of picture themselves being in that scenario, and if you make it fun and imaginative and playful, something learning can feel like an adventure and not a task. For example, in Nai's for example, taking Nai, in her cosmic adventure, you have all these fun imaginative scenes with lots of illustrations, lots of colors. So I think these kind of things are really important for kids to engage in a book. um, yeah, like she said, you can't make it too serious. You can't have a serious children's book. By presenting challenges in a non-threatening way, it attracts kids, it makes them learn more. It, and Yeah, that's about it.
So, when we are actually talking about imagination, I have read both of your books. And in both of your books, if I talk about imagination, the exploration Neil and Nile, both of them are doing in their books, are actually evolving them. So, when these explorations are evolving them, what do you think? Children can learn about navigating their own personal growth and challenge through the experience of characters who are relatable yet find themselves in remarkable situations, especially in both of your books. So, Tanya, what do you think about that? The exploration, the relatability towards those
Yes.
experiences. How can children evolve in through that?
Mhm. Okay, say for example, like the drifting solar system can feel like a impossible task, but now doing it can kids can kind of relate to that, relate to the difficulties in their own daily lives, be it like making friends in school, or just solving a problem in school, or even dealing with the emotions and stuff like that. These are the themes that I touch on in my book. So um having a character go through these themes, I think, in a fun and illustrative and humorous way, can make kids navigate these paths easier. um, and also Nai shows a lot of opportunities for growth in her in this book, like how she adapts to different situations to overcome certain struggles. So fictional struggles can give like a safe space for kids to explore their own feelings. um like we said before, like they it gives them an outlet to um let out their emotions. And also another thing for me personally that was very important, being a visual artist, I did try to use a lot of different visual techniques
Yes.
in this
Okay.
book, like graphic
I
design,
saw.
photography, illustration. I also wish that kids take away from this that you can storytelling can be like in any form. Like
Absolutely.
creativity can also be a form of letting out your emotions. So just the overall everything, like even the book by itself can be an inspiration for kids to let out their creativity, let out their emotions by writing or illustrating. Um, so yeah, that way I think kids can relate to a lot of different things in the book for their own struggles in their own lives.
So, ma'am, what do you want to talk about Neil's self-discovery of this evolve? getting sorry getting all through the experiences and involving himself. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, it's just as Tanya said, that creativity can be in any form. And since I have been a teacher, right from teaching postgraduates to telling stories to preschoolers, I know that everything can be made into a game, into play, and fun. And I think that is what is very, very important, because if you're telling children, look, this is a lesson you have to learn, they withdraw. They say, oh no, not again, but that's not the way to do it. And I have also had experience in theater, in writing for the stage, where you have to explore different movements and action. For me, the visual part of the work is because I write for the stage. So I have to see the play visually on the stage. So when I write, I also look at my characters visually and I listen to them,
Mm.
because both are important for theater, seeing and hearing. So I tell Neil, in fact, there's this place in the book where Neil gives his response sheet for a history unit test, and his teacher smiles. And he thinks, oh, good, I'm going to get an A for this paper. But she gives him a C because he's made all kinds of factual errors in his submission. And then he says, I realized that a smile can mean different things. It can, isn't it? A smile need not mean, oh, you've done well. It can mean a bit of teasing. It can mean a bit of a comment saying, oh God, look at this boy. Look at the way he's written his paper. So he suddenly realizes that a smile is not just a smile of friendliness or a smile of approval. It can mean other things. So there are these little touches in the book which I bring in very, very subtly, so that it isn't on your, egg on your face. It's something that he learns. He doesn't even know that he's learned it.
Mm.
It just so happens. And that's how I think I would like my readers to see, to be noticing things about them and about themselves. And his Neil wanting to have a mustache because he thinks that will make him attractive to, yeah, to girls. We don't know.
And with this, I have a very perfect example. I have a 11-year-old son, and
Yeah.
nowadays he is actually reading Wimpy Kid, and he
Hmm.
saw some chapter where they had this mustache, the
Huh.
main Wimpy Kid and his friend Jeffrey. So
Yeah.
nowadays, when I sometimes go back home, I saw him. He has drawn with a marker a mustache, and he will be like, "Look, Mama, I look so handsome, and this is my mustache. I'm gonna have this mustache for 2 days, and I'll go to the school with this mustache." I go, "Don't, you can't go to the school with this mustache. You better go home and rub it till the evening. I don't even care if you are wearing it, but not to the school. I am not going to visit any teachers and explaining them that this mustache is because he
Oh
is so
gosh.
handsome. I'm
Oh,
not
Navit.
doing
Oh God. What a brilliant example.
Yeah.
that. Every day I go,
Yeah.
he's a reader, so he is into a lot of books, and he has actually read the knives book also. But then it's now he's 11-year-old, so he was like, "Mama, this is for kids. Why have you bought this?" But I like the colors, and also that was the feedback of the
Please
knife.
give him higgledy piggledy. I think he'll like it
I have
because
asked
there are
the team to
mustaches.
give me that book also. I've asked them actually. So he is having this mustache nowadays, and every day is that. And in the night when he's about to go to sleep, he will read the books. So nowadays he's reading Adventures of Tintin, and he'll just do different type of mustaches, playing with that.
Yeah.
That I look handsome.
That's great.
This is a real life situation. Look
Imaginations
at
with the
that.
book.
Excellent. Thank
So
you for telling us.
my pleasure, ma'am. So, ma'am, as authors, both of you, I wanted to give this example because I wanted people to know that when you guys are saying that imagination and how you want the children and the readers to go with different things. This is how actually things happen when readers are too much into the books. So,
Mm.
uh, what do you both hope for the children? How will they take, what will they take away from your books in terms of the ability to dream or question or grow? And how can reading stories like these help foster them a sense of resilience and curiosity in young minds? So, ma'am, what do you think, what these young kids should take away from your books?
Well, the thing is that I have written in the voice of Neil, not in my voice.
Exactly.
And therefore, I'm hoping that they realize Neil is a friend to them, even though he's a character in a book of fiction. And then and I'm hoping that they realize that problems can be sorted out. And there is a point in the book where Neil talks to the media that comes to their house and wants to ask questions, and he challenges them and he tells them to go away, and they go away. And he suddenly realizes that he's a bit of a hero. But what is heroism? We don't know. And even during the freedom movement of our country, which I've also touched upon, I've said there are lots of people whose names did not come into the paper's headlines, or people did not talk about them, but there were lots of unnamed Indians who fought for our freedom. They exist. And he also realizes suddenly that heroism can come to ordinary people, ordinary school children like him. It need not be a heroism that wins them medals or gives them newspaper headlines. It need not be that. It can be everyday heroism, in getting over what your problems are, in getting to understand somebody else, in getting to appreciate somebody else or yourself. And I think most of all, that they in themselves should feel good and be happy about being who they are. They
Absolutely.
should not feel that they are always in competition with somebody else and feel depressed. They should realize that they are themselves very unique. Each human being is unique in their names, in their work, in their personalities, and each individual is precious, is important, and is a gem, is a star. And everybody can be a gem or a star in their own way.
Absolutely, ma'am. Totally agree with you. This is what I have been telling my son also when he gets bullied, that listen, you are unique. Don't even bother what other kids are telling to you.
Yes,
You should think
yes,
that you are unique. It is their problem if they are not able to understand you, but you are
yes,
unique. Believe in yourself. That is one message I continuously give him. And when I'm listening this from you, I am also so relieved that I'm telling him the correct way.
yes, you are. You are definitely, Mark. Definitely.
So, Tanya, what about you?
Yes, I want to say those were very wonderful words by Poile.
Yeah,
Um, for me, with this book, I think the main thing that I want kids to take away is just like don't stop exploring, dream without limits.
absolutely. Yeah.
Just them, the fact of them being in space, so many different forms of artwork in there. I want kids to ask questions when they after reading this book. I want them to be curious about our universe, curious about storytelling, curious about animals, empathetic towards animals. So there are a lot of different themes that I wish kids take away from me, from my book. But the main thing would be yes, like explore colors, explore textures, explore science if you like. Like there's no limits. If you want to be an astronaut by reading the book, you should be an astronaut. If you feel like, oh, I love animals, I want to be a vet. Like I just want kids to feel something when they read the book, take away like some kind of aspect of exploration from there. Yes, ultimately I just hope it inspires them in some way, teaches them the importance of teamwork. Like Nai, in the story, it's Nai and friends. It's not just Nai. Nai couldn't do anything alone. She had to have her team of friends, her group of friends to help her get through these impossible tasks. So uh, they can take away how the importance of friendship, of listening to another's opinion, being empathetic, realizing that others' opinions also matter, and you listen to them. You should give a wholehearted ear to everybody that you're speaking with. So these simple themes that pop up in my story all the time, I hope that by showing them in a fun, illustrative way, that kids, subconsciously take in these themes. But ultimately, I just wish that they want to explore more after reading my book.
Totally agree. Totally agree. With that, I would like to thank you both so much for giving
I
us
just want
time.
to say one more thing,
Yes, ma'am.
if you don't mind a
No,
minute.
no, absolutely not,
And
ma'am.
that is, yes, that, I think the word education, which sounds so heavy and boring, should be called expansion. That
That's not bad.
exploration
Action.
and expansion of one's mind, whether it's in school or reading books or with your friends, with your family, that you grow more and more aware of the world and are excited about exploring our cosmos. I think that's
Ma'am,
important.
while listening to you, I just have one more question. Sorry, I'm increasing the time, but I just have one more question. Don't you feel like the education system now should be revamped?
Yes, it should
Absolutely.
have been revamped long ago, but definitely now it is
It
important
is.
that it is. Yes. And people understand that children make connections which this education system doesn't allow them
Doesn't
to do.
them.
Yes, it even, in the syllabus, they should be able to, if they are studying history, they should also be able to study physics.
Physics.
Yes, because they are all connected. Every
Absolutely.
area of knowledge is connected to every other. And our what we learn of our earth is also connected to what we learn of space and the
Mhm.
solar system and the so many solar systems that
Mhm.
exist. I mean, scientists are finding more and more about our galaxy
Mhm.
than we knew when we were, going to the moon was for us the ultimate. But now it's limitless.
Yes.
It's just huge.
Mhm.
Think they
Absolutely, ma'am.
should,
Totally, totally.
yes, yes. That hugeness is what children can be very excited about. Maybe one of the children reading our books will suddenly find a planet that we didn't know of earlier.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you, Tanya, for giving us your time from your
Yes.
busy schedules. I know how busy you both are. Thank you so much for coming in Pragati Vichar Literature Festival Junior 2025. I hope audiences enjoy our conversation, and I'm looking forward to meet you ASAP.
Yes. Thank you
So,
so
I
much.
too. Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
ma'am.
very
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you, Tanya. See
Have
you.
a good year. Happy New Year.